Morning.
Good morning. Conrad and Kathy DeMattias here. We were coming to you. We decided that we were going to do this particular one recorded, so that way we can put it onto the YouTube channel. And over the last, since we've been posting the videos that we've done from Williamsburg, we've been looking at a lot of the we've been looking at things, really looking at things in a lot of detail. And the other night I had somebody here and she asked me, why I was doing the videos naked. And I was like, pretty much because I was told to. So I went with it. Didn't know why. But I was like, okay, we'll just roll. So I've been thinking about that even more, these last few days. And I'd say the biggest word that I could come up with anything, like when it comes to oppression, would be the word judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment, judgment is such a beautiful thing, apparently. So this is what I wrote. Why naked? So this is what I titled this, Why Naked? When Conrad and I did our first video back in Williamsburg, we were in bed practicing a pitch for the Wyndham hotel chain to join us. The more we recorded ourselves to practice, the better we got, and we decided to just let our naked in the bed pitch fly, just to see what happens. Well, in less than 3 days, we had over 1,000 views. That was the largest of any views we had seen to date. Armed with that, we decided to continue with doing our videos with us naked here in bed. When you are naked, you are raw. You are as open can be. You are as vulnerable as can be. It has been very healing in a way to not have to hide behind some makeup and a pretty dress. To just be who I am and how I am and broadcast to the world has had a major healing effect on me. I was no longer hiding. I was out in the open. I mean, I am going to be judged anyway. No matter what I have done, I will always be judged. What is it about being naked that gets people all worked up? Why do some people get excited and other people get upset? I have ever since I was wondered why we were born naked. Then why did shame happen? Why was I taught shame? It seems to me to be a very valuable tool to oppress people. We are judged by what we wear. If my clothes have a hole or is outdated, I am judged. If I don't have the right name on my label, I am judged. I am judged by whatever extra pounds is on my skin. I am judged. No matter what I do, no matter what, I am always judged. It makes me wonder why I should care and who in the first place has any right to condemn me. Who died and left them in charge? If I don't feel shame, whose problem is it? Mine. Well, not if I'm not feeling ashamed. This is my body, my temple, my glorious body that I love no matter what it might be looking like, no matter what it might be doing, no matter what condition it is in. However, with my body comes my choices. My choice to do with it what I wish. My bill to pay as well. It is not anyone on this planet's responsibility to tell me what I should do with my body, nor is it anyone's business to force me to put in it what I don't think is best for it. With that being said, it is also my choice as to how I want to heal my body. I have had 47 years having an experience with my body. I know when it's getting sick. I know when it's tired. I know when it's hungry. I don't need anyone to tell me what to eat, yet I have a mountain of people doing it. It's when it is forced to change that I collide. Change happens, no matter what. Some of us resist our change. Some of us have the same hairstyle we did back in high school. Some of us never change. If we don't change, I wonder if it stands to reason that we don't grow. I went back into 5th grade in my mind this morning, and I went back to my pristine body. I was skinny. I was so skinny. I was nothing but skin and bones. You could see my ribs. Do you know what I got made fun of? I was called knobby knees. I was called everything down the pike, making fun of me because I was so skinny. I could not wait to gain weight. And I tried and tried and tried. No matter what, I could not gain weight.
Then one day it happened.
Then one day I got pregnant. And I was so excited because I started to gain weight. And then the second baby came and I gained a little bit more. And then the third baby came and I gained a little bit more. And you know what happened? I start being made fun of again in the complete opposite direction. Wow. So I couldn't make them happy when I was skinny. And now I can't make them happy when I am heavy. Sybil, make up your mind. My only safe spot was my home. The only place that I could feel free was behind the walls of a brick frame house. What had I become? A shell of a human afraid by what anyone would say about me, walking around in judgment for just being born. What a way to control someone. Teach them to be ashamed of who they are from the beginning, and you will have a recipe for discontentment that will last a lifetime. Draining their wallet in pursuit of deliverance, filling the machine in every direction, from the clothes on your skin to the car you drive to the house you buy. What is the image that you want to send to the world? What would Jesus say? What would Jesus do? If Jesus was alive today, walking the world, would he be in a flashy car? Would he have the finest of clothes? Would he live in the biggest house high up on the hill? What would Jesus care about? The Jesus I know does not care about flashy cars or the finest sets of china. He does not care about where his clothes come from. And he did not care that people did not like what he had to say. We did not know what God put on his heart, and no one knows what God has laid on your heart or mine. When did God die and leave the judgment to us?
Because nobody sits that high by God.
Right. Nobody sits that high. Yet we live in a world.
Well, we all do it.
We all do it, though. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We all judge.
We do.
And I did write about, this judgment in our book. I talked about judgment, and I talked about how people judge other people. Mm-hmm. And when you can get to a place where you are straddled in the fence and you can look at a position from both sides and see it from both sides of the coin, mm-hmm. then you are past judgment. You are past that. But you can look at a situation from both sides of the coin. Mm-hmm. And this came from something that happened last night. I was the last few years I've not commented, on very, very rarely do I comment on anybody's post. But there was a thing about the healthcare costs for diabetes medicine going up. Now, I realize that somebody with type 2 diabetes is born that way. Or, excuse me, type 1. But type 2 is different. Type and as holistic healers, we rely heavily upon Lois Hayes' book, Heal Your Body. And in that book, it talks about diabetes being you are not happy with your life and that you are discontent with your life and you are not enjoying the sweetness of your life. And diabetes is about loving yourself. So, as a holistic healer that has spent 20 years in pursuit of loving myself, you know, I don't have diabetes. I came close. My numbers came close. In a test a few years ago, I got up to 7, and I was very, very close. And that scared me because the last thing that I wanted to do was to put that medicine in my body. So I began to do some more research about my body and why was I attracting diabetes. And it put me in motion to start to gain control over the happiness in my life and over the direction that I wanted my life to go in. And realistically, I'd have to say that's probably been about 5 years ago, because that was when we started, about 5 years ago was when we decided to start looking at B&Bs, which was what our dream was to do. When Conrad and I got married, well, when we were dating, I had said to him, I have a dream. And my dream was to have a bed and breakfast. And in all reality, I probably wanted to do weddings at that dream because that's just me. And I have been working every day, toiling away at that dream. Now, I had envisioned that all my own products would be at my bed and breakfast. So what did I needed to do? I needed to build them, hence Fubella's. I make my own soap. Believe it or not, I make my own toothpaste sometimes, but I haven't found a recipe that I really like yet. But I do know that the toothpaste that's out there is not good, and it scares me to give it to a baby who would be swallowing that stuff. But, saving the world, is a daunting task. It's just absolutely daunting. And as my husband and I, we were talking last night, and can you remember when we were talking and you said we were talking about how I drag you kicking and screaming to your destiny. Do you recall what you were talking to me about last night?
About what I said, if you didn't advance or whatever, that.
Right. Well, we were talking about advancing, and we were
Right.
talking about. Do you remember? Let's go as. I was talking with my friend, and my friend had reminded me. I've been able to connect with a friend that I haven't seen in years and years and years. And as he's been watching our videos, he's been saying he was like, oh my gosh, he's like, I've seen such incredible progress with him. He's like, he always comes up to the plate. It's like he's scared in the beginning, but he always comes up to plate. And I thought about that. So we were talking about that last night because I went back as far back as when I decided I was finally moving forward. When I decided I was going to divorce my husband, my first husband, I had made the decision with my life that I was moving forward, that I could no longer stay. I could no longer try to force myself to stay in a marriage that I did not want to be in. And trying to force myself to be in that marriage, oh my gosh, I even checked myself into a mental hospital because I could not. I was having a very difficult time getting out of that old position and wanting to change my life. And the struggle was real for me. And when I finally had made that decision, I laid out a plan. I, went to Kmart and put stuff on layaway. I researched the places that I could stay at. I put I wrote my, I wrote how much money I needed to bring in, what each bill was. I wrote down what I was going to need. And, and believe it or not, everything showed up for me to be able to do what I needed to do. And at the time, my ex-husband worked for an electrical company, and it was always, everybody always got to take home, little scraps and stuff like that. So my backyard had amassed quite a bit of scrap. So on the day that I decided to make my move, I traded vehicles and then took that truck and loaded up, and my yard was filled. Let me tell you, my yard was filled with scrap. And I loaded that truck up and drove up to the place until every piece of scrap was sold. And there were several $1,000s there at the end. And I split that several $1,000s in half and left half for my ex-husband, and I took the other half. I took the half that was in the checkbook and half that was mine, and I went. And I put and I left. And I got an apartment that I could have my children in. I bought beds for my kids. I did everything that I needed to do to secure a new life for myself. I wrote a plan. And when you and I were talking, and you were scared to move out, you were scared to take that leap of faith for yourself. And do you remember what I had said to you?
It was pretty much, if you don't want to move forward, I'm going to move forward without you.
So, and I meant that. It was just like,
Right.
I'm moving forward. I could not stay in a position that was not for my highest good any longer. And if you wanted to stay where you were welcome to.
Right.
I just wasn't going to join you.
Right.
I was going to move forward with my life. And I looked at it as like, well, if Conrad was just a part of my life to help me get the courage to leave, then that's what his role was. And I should thank him for that role and be like, okay, I'm moving on. And then later down the road, we had been talking about getting married. And down the road, we were going back and forth on, well, when should we get married, and, what should we do? And I was like, okay, I have a plan for my life. It's like, I have a goal. I have dreams, for my goals. And, I need to move forward in that direction for my goals. And you were nervous about moving forward. And I said, well, look, I can't keep waiting around for you to figure out who you are. I'm going to move forward.
Right.
And do you remember when that was?
When we were dating or something?
We were dating. It was around Christmas. It was around this time.
Right.
And I had said to you, matter of fact, because I had already been invited to that
party,
that black tie dinner. And I really wanted you to go with me. I didn't want to go by myself. And to be quite honest with you, I don't recall if there was any single men there. But it would have been an incredible opportunity for me if you didn't go. I had this beautiful gold dress that I literally, and it was an Oscar de la Renta dress that I got at the Delaware Barter trade show a couple of months previous. And I love that I got to get a high-end dress on barter. Like, I was like, yes. So, and that was the dress. It was a gold dress, and that was the dress that I wore. And I felt absolutely radiant. I felt beautiful in that dress
You
and
did.
that
You
gold.
look beautiful in it.
Thank you. And I felt wonderful wearing the gold. It felt like me. And and it was a dress that would be worn by realistically a rich and a famous person. And I felt good wearing it. I felt special. And to be quite honest with you, had I gone stag to that party, I probably could have landed a very rich man. I could have, had I gone stag. Did you know that?
You told that to me.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I married Conrad, I did not marry a rich man. I married this man because I loved this man. I could have had a very rich man. I could have had lots of very rich men. That's not who I was. And I've always made my own money, and I've always prided myself on making my own money and being my own force. And I was going to move forward no matter what. And I did not want to stay behind. And I remember being in high school, being in school, and it was in 5th grade. And when I was in 3rd grade, I broke my leg. By the time I was in 5th grade, the teachers had figured out that I had not learned my times tables. And I was in jeopardy of being held back. I did not want to be held back. So I went to these extra classes and I practiced every day my times tables. And I worked and worked and worked to learn my times tables because I did not want to be held back. That has been me my whole entire life. I don't want to be held back. I do not want to be held back. Who did what so that they was not held back? I did it. I sat down. I worked on my homework. I worked on those times tables until I knew 12 times 12 is 144. 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30. 7 times 4 is 28. I know those things like this. I know them. Off the top of my head, I know my times tables. I know how to do that. Because I was not going to be held back. I was never an A student, and I probably could have been an A student, but breaking my leg set me, it handicapped me. Mm-hmm. I was handicapped when I broke my leg because I missed a lot of very important information while I was home laying on a couch because my bed was in a full cast.
Your leg was in a full cast.
Yeah, my leg was in a full cast. And it took a long, long time for me to understand all of the lessons, that were in place. Mm-hmm. So yesterday we had a local company, shall remain nameless.
Well, they weren't really local.
Well, but that was the
part of the name.
Part of the name, which is why I'm trying to remain nameless, but right. Part of the name said local. And, I was like, well, we had tried to build the website and we were having trouble with it. And with everything I was trying to get done with the book, I had too much on my plate. I could not build a website. Not at this time, anyway. And when this company called and gave me a good deal, I was like, you know what? They'll get me on all the search engines. I'm just going to leap forward. And when I saw their design yesterday, I I
She freaked
I freaked.
big time.
I tried my best. I tried my best to be optimistic and to give this company the benefit of the doubt. And that meeting lasted from 12 to 2. And when they said that they would follow up with me in 2.5 more weeks, my gasket blew even more, because I know it only takes about a week for a trained professional to build a website.
If that.
If that, a trained professional can build a website in probably, honestly, a couple of days. And I knew this, and I was literally just, there was no way. So by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was literally trembling. And I called my bank. I canceled my card. I called the company and said,
We're done.
we're done. I'm not doing this. I don't need to continue to learn this lesson. I can move on from this, and I will figure this out. So I was a little disappointed that we were going to reveal what the new name change is. And the funny thing is the new name change was really not something that we were going to do. But we impulsively made that decision
Right.
when they called us. It was an impulsive decision. It wasn't a planned decision.
Right.
What has been the planned decision? What was the planned business name? Was what we named the book, My Journey to the Center of Love. And I already own that domain. I bought it months ago. So I put myself months ago in a position so that I could name my business what I wanted to name, because I had planned to do the workshops, the My Journey to the Center of Love workshops.
Yep.
So that is the name of the business. And Conrad and Kathy DeMatteis are the ones that fuel that business. And I did not want to be in a position where somebody was going to hold me back and allow somebody else to have control over my life in any direction that I choose to go in. So everything that has happened in the last 2 days in regards to where my life is moving towards, and even as something as silly as a Facebook post on Facebook about, diabetes medicine. And my husband has diabetes. Let me ask you a question. Do you enjoy the sweetness of life?
Nope.
No. So not enjoying your life, and one of the things that has come up lately is you've attracted again, and interesting, on the right side of your body here too. Everything is all this. Conrad, back in May, when I had announced that I wanted to just walk away from everything here in Delaware and sell my house and go, I wanted to move forward. I was done with my book. My game plan was to be up walking through the town of Lake Khazar and somehow, some way, bump into Stephen King. That was my plan. My plan was to somehow, if I had to hang out at Ebenezer's or hang out at the local post office until I ran into Stephen King, that was my plan. That was my big plan. I was like, this is how I'm going to get this done. I was like, if I gotta wash Stephen King's dishes, I'll wash Stephen King's dishes. I'm going to do whatever I got to do, because I know that man lives in Lovell on Lake Keezer. So I was like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to get to somebody who I can pick their brain, and I will figure this out. That was my plan. And Conrad was scared and did not, and he asked me to hold back. It was one of the most difficult decisions I ever had to do.
And a
But
big mistake.
but I loved my husband, and he asked me to hold back. So I did. And the interesting thing that had happened with Conrad is you attracted what's that?
Shingles.
Shingles, which is the virus for chicken pox.
From
Huh?
from chicken.
From chicken pox. This virus that, shoots up, and they say it's from the chicken pox. But it's very interesting that that these have all come back up again when it is getting very, very close for us to face the music, and very close, for the website, which didn't get built, which we canceled. But these have all cropped back up again on you. And when you looked up the metaphysical reason for shingles, do you remember what it said?
I don't remember everything, but it was basically waiting for the other shoe to drop.
What does that mean when you what does that say to you, waiting for the other shoe to drop?
Yes, other issues to drop.
Judgment?
Mm-hmm.
You're waiting for somebody to judge you. So these last 2 weeks, 3 weeks now that we have been doing these videos, and beings that this is recorded,
Mm-hmm.
who's the other, there was things that you've said about what you were in fear of. What were they?
My family.
That they would judge you
Mm-hmm.
for trying to be who you are. Do you feel that you are allowed to be who you want to be?
Nope.
What kind of stress does that put you under?
Large amount.
It's interesting because you really even took a lot of ribbing for your hair growing longer. So it's a safe bet to say.
Yeah, I had somebody ask me when I was going to cut my hair. Well, a couple people, actually.
When you were going to cut your hair.
Yeah, like, when you going to cut your hair? When you're going to look normal?
Normal.
Yep.
So, you told me a couple of weeks ago when we were talking that ever since you were young, you always wanted to have what?
Long hair.
Long hair. What do you have right now?
Well, not ponytail hair, but long hair.
Did you want ponytail hair?
I did when I was younger.
You did?
Yeah, I wanted to be a rock star, remember?
But
I
I didn't know
to be a
you
drummer
wanted.
in the band, and I wanted the long hair, like all the headbangers and all that stuff. Yeah.
You wanted long hair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
You know, the big 80s hair that was up to here. You know, all the 20 cans of, what was it, Aquanet Gold or something that Motley Crue used or whatever. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
That was what you wanted.
Well, I don't know if
So-
I wanted to do the glam stuff, but you kind of get the idea, the big hair and the long hair and stuff. But
that was what you wanted to do when you were young.
Mm-hmm.
So, growing your hair now, has that been like a symbolic? Would you say you have started the process of finding yourself? Is this easy? No,
Nope, not at all.
not at all. Because the message that gets sent to us very loud and clear all the time is you're not allowed to be who you want to be.
Yeah, be what everybody else wants you to be.
Right. You got to be what everybody else wants you to be. What everybody else thinks that you should be. That's what you got to do.
Yep.
And finding that part inside of you, which they say all the time, it says in the Bible, let the little children come to Jesus, does that mean necessarily that only the little children understand Jesus? Or does that mean allow the child in your adult body to remember, what did you want when you were a child?
Mm-hmm.
What did you see for yourself when you were a child? And I knew when I was a child, my relatives up in Maine, up in North Turner, Maine, had a hotel. And the hotel was next door to my grandparents' house, my great-grandparents' house, which was across the street from the store that my great-grandparents owned. And I remember when I was a child, the rubble was still there. And I have in my living room a bowl, the watering bowl, and the soap dish, and the cup that came from inside that hotel. And that has been in my living room for probably 20, God, longer, probably over 20 years. So I have had a bowl, and people don't understand the energy that is attached to objects.
Mm-hmm.
But I have had a bowl in my living room that has been that was a part of the hotel that my family had over 100 years ago. And I remember walking through the perimeter of that hotel and saying to myself, I'll rebuild this. I could do this. Mm-hmm. It's like, I could do this. So as far back as I can remember, my dream was to rebuild that inn, or to have an inn. It has always been my dream. And I have been working towards that goal. And then life got me. Life happens. And I met a man, and I knew I was supposed to have his kids, and my life, the fork in the road came, and I leapt. I made a decision to marry a man overnight. When I decided to marry Conrad, that decision took me much. I tested Conrad for almost 10 years before I married him. I knew him a very long time. So I went from knowing a man a few months and marrying him to knowing a man for 10 years before I married him. I'd like to think that I did my homework. But, and I have been lucky enough that when I say I drag you to your destiny kicking and screaming, mm-hmm. Is it a safe bet to say that if you wanted off the ride, you would do it?
Mm-hmm. If I wanted it, yeah.
If you wanted off the Kathy ride, if you wanted to disembark from the journey with Kathy, could you do it? Do you have the means to do it? Do I hold your purse strings?
Mm-mm.
No. So I don't financially, you don't financially need me, correct?
Yeah.
Do I financially need you?
Right now, yeah, but I mean, you could go out and get a job and do what
you need. If I had to, right? Yeah. If I had to, I've only financially needed you this last year because I was writing the book, and mm-hmm. and I worked minimally so that I could focus on writing the book.
Right.
But the book is written and the book is done, mm-hmm. and the book is just waiting. It's just this period before the book, prints. This big growth and all these shifts that happen. And is it I think it's a safe bet to say that if I needed to go and get a job right now outside of this house and leave this marriage, I could do it.
All right, you did it before. You could
I
do
did
it
it
again.
before. I could do it again.
Right.
Did I want to do it?
No.
I didn't. I didn't want to do it. And I think it's a safe bet to say that had I taken a job outside and gone, at a spot, had I gone to a Massage Envy or something like that, I think it's a safe bet to say that I would have had the financial means to walk away from you during this very difficult time of you coming into your own. Because it's been very difficult on you. And
Extremely difficult.
Extremely difficult. It's a safe bet to say that when conflict happens, you run away. And I have a tendency to face conflict. I have been lucky enough that I have had a few men in my life who like to tower over me and think that they can get control over me. I won't name any names, but I know those men did not win. And I am more powerful than what they are. And I will never allow it to happen. I worked way too hard to get to where I'm at, to let some silly little man who did not do anything to the magnitude that I have done get in my way. And the crazy thing is if I was that powerful then, when I didn't even know I was that powerful, can you imagine how powerful I really am now that I know that I am that powerful?
Right.
I wouldn't mess with me either. I just wouldn't do it. You don't know what tricks are up my sleeve, and they don't know what I know.
Right.
Telepathy is a beautiful thing. Love telepathy. So, and I will use every tool that I have in my tool belt to protect myself and to protect and guide my future. So, judgment. Judgment was what this particular video was about. It was about judgment. Do you want to continue to have the world judge you, tell you how you should wear your hair, tell you what clothes you should wear, tell you what kind of car you should buy, tell you what type of house that you should live in? Do you want to continue to be a puppet? Is that what you want? If that's what you want, go for it. Far be it from me to stop you. I don't care if you want to be a puppet. I do not want to be a puppet. And I love to feel empowered. And I love it when I can help somebody else feel empowered and for somebody else to rise up and conquer and face their fears. It's a great thing to cheerlead somebody on, and it's also devastating to be someone's cheerleader. Conrad told me last night, he said, you've had to be the one to be, I'm his teacher, yet I don't get paid. And if this was a paying client, people who pay for you value you. And if they're not paying for you, they just don't value you. There's no skin in the game. And one of the things moving forward that I knew I needed to do was to work with people who valued what I had. So to give somebody myself for free, or to give somebody my expertise for free, there's no value to that. They're not paying for it. So there's no skin in the game. And last night you had said to me, I can't imagine how difficult this has been for me because I'm not being financially rewarded to be your teacher, to be the one that guides you kicking and screaming to your destiny.
Mm-hmm.
The price that we had to pay was love.
Mm-hmm.
That was the price. I've done this for you because I love you beyond all measure. I love you beyond anything that I can comprehend. And to see you sad, and to see you not be yourself and to reach your full potential is the hardest thing for me to watch. So I will always work for you for free because I love you. But as far as the rest of the world goes, I'm not in love with the rest of the world. I don't have a vested interest in the rest of the world like I have with this man. I have 20 years invested in this man. So for my king, I will work for free. For my king, I will work for free. But I am worth my weight in gold. And I am not going to apologize for what I charge. You either want what I have to offer you, or you don't. I am not a gimmick. We're talking about your happiness. We're talking about you building a bond within your relationship that withstands anything. Do you want that discounted? It seems to me that when you say to me, I want what you have, but I only want to pay this amount of money for it, then what you're saying is you're not worth that much money. So if you want me at a 25% discount, you got to buy me in bulk, baby. That's just the only way to it. You want a slice of me at a 25% discount? You got to buy me in bulk, the bulk package. You've got to commit to a year. But to get me for one day, a one-time visit, just to try me out, just to see if I'm going to be good for you, does not warrant me giving you a discount. You're testing. What is the test for your self-worth? That money that you pay for me is what you are worth. So if you are only worth $10, then go to the massage therapist that only charges $10. You won't find me on Groupon. You're not going to find me on Living Social. You will not find me on any discount site. Because I value myself more than that. And if there is any lesson that I could teach you, it is that you are valuable. So if you want the best, just like a Mercedes-Benz costs a lot of money, just like a BMW costs a lot of money, just like a Jaguar costs a lot of money, I cost a lot of money. and I am worth it. So as of right now, the rates that I have to go with are what is on my webpage. And in the next few weeks, we will be having a new website done. I have made the decision a year ago that my rates for my readings come January 1st were going up to $240 an hour. And that is our session price to work with us, to work with me in a session, is $240. And the bottom line is, are you worth $240 an hour? If you are not worth $240 an hour, then we are not the people for you to be working with. You're going to have to find somebody cheaper. Somebody where your value is at. So I want you to check yourself. I want you to really, really look at yourself really, really deeply. And I want you to ask yourself, how much are you worth per hour? And when you come up with that price as to what you are worth per hour, then you will know who you are supposed to be working with. So if you are only worth $30 an hour, you might not even be worth that. Gosh, yeah. You might only be worth $30 an hour. So the beauty is if you're only worth $10, I have a soap for you. That's $10. You can have a slice of me for $10.
And the soap.
In a bar of soap. Because the soap is worth $10. That sliver of me is worth $10. So if you want me for $10, that's how you can get me. You can buy a bar of soap. But if you want me live in the flesh, if you want Conrad and I to work on you, then that rate is $240 an hour. And that's just all that there is to it. So knowing my value is paramount. Knowing your value is critical. It is critical for your survival, for your future, to know what you are worth. And when this video is over, I want you to sit down with a piece of paper and I want you to write out, what am I worth? What is my dollar figure? What do I deserve to be paid? How much do I want? And when you come up with that figure, when you solidify how much you are worth, is what you will attract to yourself. This is Kathy DeMatteis. This is Conrad. We have been journeying to the center of loving ourselves. That is what this was all about, was learning how to love yourself. And I love myself.
And I'm working on loving myself.
And Conrad is working on loving himself. So I want you to recognize that we are a partnership that is evolving and growing. And together we can accompany a big range of people on their journey for where they are. It is a fair bet to say that Conrad would not charge $240 an hour for his Reiki session. In all reality, Conrad, where are you for an energy session with you? What do you feel? Where are you at right now?
Probably about 55.
55. So that is where Conrad is at, is $55. So if you can afford $55 to begin the process of healing yourself, if that is what your dollar amount is, then this is the man for you. The beauty is, he isn't worth 30. Yes, he's not worth 30. So if you are only wanting to pay $30, then this is not the man for you. I think that's really good. I'm really, really proud of you, honey.
Thank you.
I'm really, really proud of you. that's a good number. That's a good number. And that took a lot for you to do that, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your goal for 1 year from now? What is your goal? What would you like to be at an hourly rate 1 year from now?
Probably about 100.
100.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to do that, you've got some work to do, don't you?
I do.
You do. But this is what the journey is all about.
Mm-hmm.
This is what journeying to loving yourself is all about.
Right.
And this is the curriculum that, we have put together. And the bottom line is I started out when I was 16 years old making $3.35 an hour. I've come a long way. I've come a long way. You were at that rate too.
I think I was $3.85 at the grocery store.
$3.85?
I think.
Okay. So look at how much you have evolved.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, this is what we do. This is what we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, we want you to evolve and to journey with us. Journey for us is the word.
Yep.
John Edwards, his is evolve. So I don't want to take evolve away from him. He's a very big mentor for me. I have a lot of respect for John Edwards. John Edward. I wouldn't be anywhere near who I am without somebody like him.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to respect that he is the evolved man and I am the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to thank you guys very much for tuning in today. Thank you for listening. We know this was a long video.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have a great day. For right now, you can find us at www.kathydematius.com. Like it. What do they got to do for this?
Yeah, like it, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and hit the bell notification so you get future videos, notifications for
Future
videos.
notifications.
Yep.
And the new website, which should be up and running. We're going to hope that it is up and running, but we're going to set the intention for January 1st.
Yep.
So we're going to set the intention that by January 1st, the new website is going to be up and running, which pretty much gives us, what do we got, 6 weeks?
Something like that.
Something like that. We got 6 weeks. So we got 6 weeks for you to figure out this website.
Yep.
Conrad is building the website. So
yep, wish me luck.
wish him luck. Thank you and have a great day.
All right, bye.